Josh Hennick here on 97.3 ESPN. You know, this is going to be the last Friday that we can legitimately recap anything to do with football. I mean, sure, in the most realistic sense, there could be a day that, we come in here, something crazy is going to happen over the weekend with maybe like the UFL or something. But realistically, this is it, folks. This is the last football Friday we can squeeze out of the football season, and it's thanks to the Philadelphia Eagles having their parade today. And there was some of the speeches we are going to recap because I felt that some of what was said today was definitely a bit enlightening. And we're going to get into that here on 97.3 ESPN. I want your guys' reactions throughout the day. There was a lot of takeaways I had from the Eagles parade today, from the Eagles, what the players said, looking ahead to the offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot to review, and you guys can chime in throughout at 609-403-0973. Today's day of celebration, so tell me, did you go to the parade? Were you at home watching the parade? Were you trying to sneak it in on your smartphone to consume the parade? How were you celebrating Eagles Parade Day? Let me know. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Because for me, and I brought this up a couple days ago here on 97.3 ESPN, and it was a conversation. It was actually initiated by one of you people listening. One of you texted in and brought up the fact of, all the years I have worked here. And I have now been working with Mike Gill and the Sports Bash and with 97.3 ESPN and with Billy Schweim on the weekends. We got 9 years here. And my 9 years here have involved the Philadelphia Eagles being in the Super Bowl 3 times, winning twice. And when you go back to 2018 for that parade was just absolutely wild because the Eagles had never won a Super Bowl before. That team really leaned into the underdog narrative. They took out Brady and Belichick, and they conquered the mountain. And, there was a lot of, I can't believe this is real. We are going to party like there's no tomorrow vibe to it. There was a lot of people said that we couldn't do this. There was a lot of, guys like Howie Roseman and others who kind of had their moment of shine. And because it was the first time, I don't know if people really knew what to do. So there was a lot of, we're just doing what feels right. Jason Kelce in the Mummers costume, that, the historic speech in 2018. And now that we are 7 years later, this parade did not feel like, the first time. It felt more like the next time. Because there's so many young guys on this team compared to years ago. There's so many guys on this team that you were observing and listening to. And for me, I can't get the images of this parade out of my head. What happened 7 years ago, I remember the speeches more than the parade. This time, I remember the parade is going to be more in my memory than the speeches. Because the speeches 7 years ago were guys like Jason Kelce and Lane Johnson and Chris Long and all these guys, Brandon Graham, who were kind of having their, we finally did it. We finally got everybody to shut up. This team, it was more like this one's for you, Philadelphia. Because there were so many moments during the parade that stood out to me. For example, Saquon Barkley he's going to go down as a cult figure in this city. First of all, yesterday, he delivers to each of his offensive linemen individually their own Bud Light truck full of Bud Light. Now, if you were wondering how many Bud Light beers are in a Bud Light truck, there is approximately 2,160 cans, or one for every yard Saquon Barkley gained this year. Saquon Barkley told his offensive line, I am going to literally gift you for every yard I gained in the regular season and postseason in alcohol. So, between that and the Don Julio bottles that were in everyone's locker, everyone was feeling pretty good today, right? A regular Bud Light truck will have about 90 cases of beer in it. So that was kind of like the foundation of today's parade. Then Saquon gets to the parade. He's teaching a woman on the parade route how to shotgun a beer. Like literally teaching her, like, this is how you hold it. This is how you drink it. This is how you drink it fast. He sees the Eagles ball boy in the crowd, runs up to him, hugs him, and then picks him up and puts him in the parade with him. And then before any of the speeches happen, there is this iconic picture now. I mean, I saw the video first because I was watching the parade coverage live. He's sitting at the top of the Art Museum steps with Avante Maddox, and they're just soaking in the visual from their angle of the crowd flooding to the Art Museum steps so they can see what it's like. And those are just some of the moments with Saquon Barkley this week that we can go back on and we can say Saquon Barkley is so much more than the biggest free agent signing in Eagles history. Saquon Barkley has become an iconic figure in Philadelphia history. And he's just one of the guys who had these classic moments. You know, I look at, for example, the whole situation with Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith is out there getting Eagle fans to chant EAGLES Eagles. He's spraying champagne on different fans. He's high-fiving them. He's getting them extra into it, right? Cooper DeJean is out there high-fiving people and yucking it up with the crowd. Jake Elliott, this story's hilarious. So if you were watching the same coverage that I was, and this was around maybe like 12 o'clock, you hear this like boom, like a firework goes off, right? And the people on the set of the coverage are like, whoa, there's not a firework. John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia interrupts him and says, no, that's not what happened. And then he goes on to tell the story that apparently a fan gets Jake Elliott's attention. They long snap a beer to a holder, and they have Jake Elliott kick it like it's a field goal. And according to John Clark of NBC Sports Philadelphia, Jake Elliott kicked it like 30 feet in the air. And of course, when you kick a beer, you're going to make it explode if you have the leg that Jake Elliott has, right? You have the moment where Nick Sirianni runs off the bus with the trophy in hand, starts high-fiving people. You have the image of Jalen Hurts with the shirt that says love, comma, Hurts with the Jordan logo. And he kind of looks a little like Jordan with the Kango hat on, smoking the cigar with the trophy in his hand. You got guys like Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson catching beers from the fans. And of course, what may be the most iconic image of all. Howie Roseman. Howie Roseman gets hit in the head and now he's got this huge, basically, mark of a beer on his head, a beer can on his head. And someone catches a picture of him with a cigar in his mouth. And if there is not anything more iconic about this parade than that, I don't know what it is. I mean, Howie Roseman, I'll put it up on, for those who haven't seen it, you can go to my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig. Howie's got the mark of a beer can that hit him in the head. Someone tried to throw him a beer. Obviously, Howie's not a professional athlete. He couldn't catch it. So Howie's just like, you know what? Never mind. I got this huge mark on my head. I'm basically bleeding. And then he gets up to the podium for the speeches. And he says this an hour after being hit in the head with a beer can with this huge mark on his head now. Says this.
I bleed for this city. Go Eagles. Our players, our staff have done an unbelievable job. We are two-time world champs, and we're coming back strong. Go Birds!
I told these.
I mean, obviously, Howie's feeling no pain at that point. I mean, he's got enough liquid courage in him that he's feeling pretty good. But just the image of this guy at the podium saying, I bleed for this city, when he literally got cut in the head by a beer can hitting him in the head. To me, the visuals of this celebration are going to be bigger than the speeches. And I'm not trying to belittle the speeches. I'm just saying, for me personally, as an Eagles fan, that's where I'm going to go to. It's the visual of the. How about Zach Baun? Zach Baun running off the bus to sign a baby, kiss it on the forehead, and continues with the parade. There's just so many visuals from this parade. That's what's going to stand out for me for years to come, is that it's the visual how this team evolved and became basically a part of the Philadelphia sports landscape. Chris Long said it best on the Greenland podcast. These guys have become legends in this city. And is there really anything more legendary than Howie Roseman with the obvious bruise and cut of a beer hitting him in the head, smoking a cigar with his sunglasses, and then he runs up at the podium and says, I bleed for this city. Gotta love it. 609-403-0973. Jeff in Ocean City chimes in. He says, I watched the parade at 2 local establishments, and my number one priority this offseason is to bring back Zach Baun. Well, Jeff in Ocean City, I think that you, along with a lot of others, feel the same way. And I said yesterday here on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennig hanging out with you on the final football Friday of the season as the Eagles have their championship celebration parade today. I said it this week, Jeff in Ocean City. I think Howie Roseman has shown you during his tenure in Philadelphia that he learns from his mistakes. And one of the biggest mistakes for Howie Roseman during his Philadelphia Eagles tenure, I'll put Howie back up on my screen while I talk about him. You know, I don't subtweet people. I talk about them in person, right? There we go. There's Howie. Let's put Howie back on the screen for talking about him. But for Howie, I think that he realizes that letting TJ Edwards walk was a mistake for this team. Howie admitted this past offseason that not addressing the secondary was a huge mistake by him and the Eagles. And I think Howie understands how important Zach Baun is, not just to this defense, but also to Vic Fangio, and the rest of the guys. If you watch the Mic'd Up, where they had covered the players in the Super Bowl, you saw his interactions with his teammates. You saw his interactions during the game, before the game, after the game. This is an important player on this team. And you could argue Zach Bond is more important, Jeff, in Ocean City. He is more important than Josh Sweat and Milton Williams. I think of all the guys who are free agents, Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Mekhi Becton, Zach Bond, and others, I think the number one priority is going to be Bond, Jeff, in Ocean City. And if he isn't, Howie Roseman should be ashamed of himself. Maybe I hit harder in the head with that beer can than we thought. Nick from Delaware chimes in at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Nick from Delaware says, I was at the parade in 2018, so this one I stayed home. In 2018, I missed the speeches. Not going to lie, I got a little emotional watching it. Maya Lotta's singing had me going. Watching it while I was working, says Nick in Delaware. So I love that perspective. When you think about 2018, right? If you were there, going again this time might not have been a priority, because for a guy like Nick in Delaware basically says, hey, I get to experience this once in a lifetime moment. I don't have to do it again, right? So I love that feeling. He says, I watched it while I was at work. He said, I got emotional, he said, rewatching the speeches afterward. And he says, I loved the Maya Lotta singing. But I think the other part of what Nick said is important. Because Nick in Delaware, if I can just isolate something you said I was watching it while I was working. I think there are a lot of people who didn't get the opportunity to go because either of work or other obligations, right? But the parade was important to you. And I think it kind of goes what Landon Dickerson said in his speech, that Philly fans are not like other fans in the world. It's not that Patriot fans wouldn't watch the parade while at work or any other fan base, right? Chief fans, Giant fans, Steeler fans. But it's that for Philadelphia sports fans, you probably had the least productive day in the tri-state region. From South Jersey to Eastern Philadelphia to Delaware, where people were more invested in their community connection to this team. The fact that this team started 2-2 and built into something that brought everyone for this glorious ride. And what was unique for me is that in 2018, I actually didn't know a lot of people who got to go to the parade. I know a lot of people in 2018 personally who they didn't actually have the opportunity to go to the parade because of what day it was, right? For a lot of people, there was not a lot of foreplanning when it came to that parade. I think the Eagles putting the parade on Friday this time, leading into President's Day weekend, I think was a huge deal. And I think that a lot of people were able to plan ahead for this parade. Whereas in 2018, there were a lot of people who went spur of the moment, right? Because again, in 2018, there were a lot of people who flooded the city. And it was kind of like a, hey, we're going to do this, right? And when you look back to what it was in 2018, the parade started later. The speeches were later. This time around, they started earlier. it felt like there was a little more planning for the fans, and a lot of the fans were much more prepared as well. There were a lot of people who got there very early. There were people like Nick Earnshaw. You heard him earlier on the Sports Bash where he talked about how, hey, for me and others, we planned a certain route to get to the stage to hear the speeches. 7 years ago, it was on a Thursday. Taking off on a Thursday is not as easy for people to take off versus a Friday. And also, that was February 8th. You weren't coming up on a big weekend, right? You were not coming up on a holiday weekend. So I think this was a combination of a lot of different factors that made this parade maybe a little bit more attainable for at least people I know. I know a few different people who went. I mean, off the top of my head, I know at least 4 people off the top of my head I could name who were all at the parade today. And I believe it was 7 years ago. I don't know as many people who went to that parade because it was on a Thursday. I think it being on a Friday definitely helped. All right, coming up on the other side, I want to get to George from Summers Point's text at 609-403-0973. And I want to bring for you guys my favorite speeches because I thought there were a couple that really stood out to me. And I want to share with you guys why I think these speeches give us some insight into the Eagles' upcoming offseason. All that and more coming up next. I'm Josh Hennig. This is 97.3 ESPN, your home for the Philadelphia Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers in South Jersey.
Wake up weekday mornings from 6 to 10 a.m. with Unsportsmanlike on 97.3 ESPN with Evan Cohen, Super Bowl champion Chris Canty, and Michelle Small.
Can't wake up without it.
Brought to you by the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
Rise and shine, Valentine. All month long, you be the commander-in-chief. The savings are presidential. You just sign and drive at Matt Platt Mitsubishi with 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, or 0% for 60 months on all remaining 24 Outlander sports in stock. But they won't last. Get yours before they're gone. Brand new Outlander PHEV, 0 security deposit, and just $399 per month lease. Yep, just sign and drive it home. Maybe you're a first-time buyer, or you've been turned down for a loan. Matt Platt Mitsubishi wants to finance your future, not your past. Bring in any trade, even if you're stuck in a current loan or lease. AJ the Trade Man wants to get you released and into a brand new 24 Outlander SUV, $29.99 with 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days.
Simply, Matt Mitsubishi.
Rate qualifications exist with approved credit. 1666 for 1,000 finance on in-stock 2024 Outlander Sports. Not all will qualify. Go to mattplattmitsubishi.com for complete details or call 844-946-2315. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Expires 3/4/25. Matt Platt Mitsubishi in the heart of Glassboro for 30 years.
Dell Technologies is celebrating with anniversary savings on their most popular tech. For a limited time only, save on select next-gen PCs like the XPS 16, powered by Intel Core Ultra processors and more. Plus, curate your dream setup with great deals on select monitors, mice, and more must-have electronics and accessories. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to leading-edge technology to match your forward-thinking spirit and free shipping on everything. Again, that's Dell.com/deals.
Sherry, what have you done to your hair?
What do you mean? Does it not look good?
It doesn't look good. It looks freaking amazing. I can't believe how thick and healthy it looks. Oh, I must know your secret.
No secret. It's hair volume from New Nordic.
Hair volume, huh? Well, it certainly lives up to its name. Your hair has never looked so thick. It is gorgeous.
I was so tired of having thin and brittle hair. Ugh, and the shedding. So I figured I'd give hair volume a try. Needless to say, I'm thrilled with the results. Hey, where are you going?
I'm gonna pick up some hair volume right now. My reunion's next month and I want my hair to look as good as yours.
Hair Volume is the best-selling hair tablet in the world and one of many award-winning natural health products from New Nordic, the #1 supplier of dietary supplements in Scandinavia. Purchase at newnordicusa.com or your local CVS. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Help your hair look full, voluminous, and beautiful again at newnordicusa.com or CVS.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million+ products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online.
Uh-huh.
I read that black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. The NBA off for the All-Star break with All-Star festivities this weekend in San Francisco. The Sixers entering the break on a 5-game losing skid. They return Thursday hosting the Boston Celtics. The Flyers, they're on their mid-season break. No All-Star game this year. Instead, the league is holding the four-nation face-off. Teams from Sweden, Finland, the United States, and Canada all participating in a tournament. Thursday night, the United States beat Finland 6-1. Saturday, they'll take on Canada. Major League Baseball, Phillies holding their first full squad workout Monday in Clearwater. Their first Cactus League game will be February 22nd against Detroit. NFL news, the Jets have made it official, parting ways with quarterback Aaron Rodgers after 2 seasons. He sat out his first season with the Jets after suffering an injury in their opening game. Last year, the Jets went 5-12. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
A new president is sworn in. America's greatness is being restored. And there's breaking news every minute. Now, tens of millions of Americans are turning off Fox and CNN and tuning in to Newsmax for the breaking information they really need to know. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top news brands in America. Find it yourself on all major cable systems and on your TV or smartphone store. Just download the Newsmax app for free and start watching. You'll get great shows with Rob Schmidt, Greta Van Susteren, Rob Finnerty, and Carl Higbie, and more. Find out why millions of Americans have made the switch. Even President Trump says Newsmax is terrific, and he's watching. So make the switch to Newsmax. Check us out on cable and satellite TV or download the Newsmax app today. Watch us anytime, anywhere. Remember, Newsmax is real news for real people.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Our next winter storm arrives in less than 24 hours, maybe a quick hit of snow, and then a whole lot of rain. Increasing clouds tonight, low temperature dips to 24. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy to start, high 39. Wintry mix arrives in the afternoon, changing to all rain by early evening tomorrow. Sunday, periods of rain, heavy at times through late afternoon, high of 58, back down to 37 on Monday. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Thank you for making Total Wine & More America's #1 online source for spirits, beer, and wine. Better than all those delivery apps. Total Wine's prices are up to 30% lower with super fast delivery and no hidden fees. Order direct at TotalWine.com and pay less today.
Drink responsibly, B21. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
We will get to my favorite speeches from the players today, but first, let's check you back in the text board. George from Summers Point chimes in at 609-403-0973. I'll stick your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle, or you can watch on my YouTube channel at Josh Hennig, where you see I have my shirt from the 2018 We All We Got, We All We Need championship. 2017 Eagles season, Super Bowl was in 2018, but I digress. George from Summers Point chimes in and says, hey, Josh, you gave an excellent recap of today's parade. Well, thank you. He says, many of us did not get a chance to watch because of work. I agree with you that this parade is a different feel because it's not the first one, but each parade going forward will have its own character. So you can tuck that away in your memory, recall it years from now. Go Birds. That's from George and Summers Point. And I think that is the unique part of all this. You know, Philadelphia has turned a corner when it comes to championships, because for the longest time Philadelphia was originally, well, they never won a Super Bowl, right? All the Philadelphia championships in football went back to the NFL championship, 1960, 1989, the USFL with the Philadelphia Stars back in the day. And then every sport that was championship was just one in basketball, right? Initially, it was just one in baseball. And then you had the 2 hockey Stanley Cups in the 70s. Philadelphia was not anywhere near sports cities like Chicago or New York or Boston, right? But in the last 25 years, Philadelphia has now turned a corner. And I think it's a good point by George Summers' point that moving forward, every parade will have its own character. Many times in life, whether it is in sports, whether it is in business, whether it is in your personal life, success breeds more success. And it's something that I've learned from a lot of people who I say are smarter than me, people who have been very successful in different areas of life. And they always tell me, once you have those first couple wins, the wins become dominoes. And after that, it's almost like your previous success basically created an entirely new garden of new fruit and vegetables to grow. And it becomes a cycle of success. I think the fact that in the last 25 years, Philadelphia has finally won their second championships in different sports now creates a dynamic of this is not a city of, well, we won one and that was great. The 2008 Phillies World Series is now paired with the 2024 Eagles in that now you got two. You got 2 World Series trophies at Citizens Bank Park. Now you got 2 Lombardi trophies at Lincoln Financial Field. Now the conversation and the expectations change. Now it's how many more can we get? Like Jeffrey Lurie said during the parade, he said during his speech, now it's on to get a 3rd championship. For the Phillies, they have been to a World Series multiple since their 2008 championship. The expectation is we should get more. So I think that it's a unique, deep thing that George from Summers Point said, whereas that, hey, each parade moving forward will have its own character. But you wouldn't say that if there wasn't a history of that success having the foundation laid and now success leads into more success. I think that is a huge part of it for Philadelphia. Philadelphia is now in the same room. Okay? Look, the Yankees got 27, 28 World Series. Okay? Between the Dodgers and the Lakers, there's probably 40 championships at this point. I'm not going to sit here and act like they're in that category. But Philadelphia is no longer in the same conversation as the cities that only have one championship in a sport or a couple of sports. You are now nipping at the heels of people like New York, Boston, Los Angeles. Now you're starting to enter the realm of the San Franciscos and the Atlantas, right? You're entering those conversations with cities like Chicago, with cities that have multiple championships in multiple sports. You have bypassed cities like Kansas City. You have bypassed cities like Houston and Dallas. You are now ascending in the sports landscape. And that is a unique feeling for many long-suffering Philadelphia sports fans. All right, let's get some of these speeches. I thought there were a couple of the speeches that stood out to me uniquely, and I want to comment on each one individually. I want to hear what you guys say about each one. 609-403-0973, your DMs into the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. First, A.J. Brown. Short, but very poignant. Take a listen.
Adrian! Hey, how about our football team? Man, we couldn't do it without you guys. We just wanted to tell you, man, we love you and we support y'all. We thank y'all so much, man. I got one more thing. They said I was a diva. They said all I care about was stats. You're going to get all those things wrong about me, but one thing you can get right. I'm a
He says at the end there that you can call me all kinds of names, but one thing you can't get wrong about me is that I'm a bleeping champ. I think that was a powerful message from A.J. Brown for two reasons. One, this man has been misunderstood the entirety of his time in Philadelphia. People have tried to put him in a box and label him and turn him into something that he's not. A.J. Brown has talked about how he takes pride in his blocking for Saquon Barkley, in the fact that he wants to do whatever it takes to win. He said this week on social media that he realized that winning a championship was less important to him than the journey to get to a championship, than the work it takes to get there. That was what he loves the most. A.J. Brown is growing and evolving as a human being and a man. And I think that what he said reflects a lot of people in this world. There's a lot of people who say, you can call me whatever you want, but once I hit a certain level of success, you will never misjudge me for anything else ever again. And I think for A.J. Brown, that was important for him to reach that level of differentiation from other people. And I think moving forward, that is going to be a good sign for him and this team. The fact that they are going to now know that using the haters' fuel pays off. Listen, a lot of people use negative feedback as fuel for positive success. But not everyone is able to reach the level of success that A.J. Brown and the Philadelphia Eagles of the 2024 season have. And I think that for a guy like A.J. Brown, reading that Inner Excellence book now is even more meaningful. It is more substantial. It allies more weight. You know, if you watched the Mic'd Up from the Eagles Super Bowl, one of the comments that A.J. Brown's reading the book and Nick Sirianni comes over, and Nick Sirianni says, no, stop reading the book from my case. Why don't you read me a passage? Basically, Nick Sirianni saying, I'm not here to tell you to stop doing what got you here. I'm here to encourage you to keep doing it. I want to join you in that. And I think that connection between AJ and his teammates, AJ and his coach, I think those are huge positives moving forward. Eagles right tackle Lane Johnson. There's always been this question about how long is he going to play. There's always been speculation about how long can this guy keep putting up this level of production? How long does he want to put in the work to keep doing it? This was Lane Johnson at the parade today, speaking to the crowd of an estimated 1.5 million in attendance.
12 years ago, man, I was drafted to this organization by Mr. Lurie and Howie Roseman. And not only did they shape who I am today, they also helped bring in 2 world championships to this city. Place of persistence and to always press on. Coach Sirianni taught me about dog mentality. Nick Foles taught me how to speak soft and to carry a big stick. That was actually Teddy Roosevelt, but I thought it was pretty fitting. And Jalen Hurts taught me how to have a purpose before someone had an opinion. Man, I'm proud of how our team battled this year. We have a lot of personalities, a lot of talent, but everybody put aside their own personal goals aside for the betterment of the team. And that's what it's all about, and that's the reason why we're up here celebrating today. So all love, It's been nothing but love the past 12 years, and I'm looking forward to many more years to come. So love you, Philly.
Couple key notes in there from Lane Johnson. Number one, he says many more years to come. That doesn't sound like a guy who's ready to hang up his cleats anytime soon. That sounds like a guy who plans to keep playing right tackle for the Philadelphia Eagles beyond the next couple years. You know, there have been speculation about, do the Eagles need to draft the right tackle to replace him? How many more years? Lane Johnson has even questioned how many more years he wants to do this, right? Right now, Lane is under contract through the 2026 season. So his current contract takes him for another couple of years. By the time the current contract is done, he will be 36 years old. That doesn't sound like a guy who only has 2 more years left in him. Now, he may feel differently when, the current dosage of alcohol in his system wears out. He may feel differently after the next injury that he sustains, because he has been banged up a lot in the last few years. But as of right now, that didn't sound like a man who was ready to be done with football, number one. Number two, you heard his perspective about how this is a guy like Brandon Graham. They were drafted many years ago, right? He talked about 12 years. And he pointed to Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman. And the idea being that those two guys have created a dynamic and an environment that makes him want to keep coming into the building. And that is a huge credit to this organization. They have created an environment and a dynamic that makes people want to be here and not makes people want to leave. Because those are two very different vibes. We have all worked at jobs that made us feel welcome, and we've all worked at jobs that made us feel like we were not wanted or not appreciated. Speaking of being where you are wanted is Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley, for those who didn't see it, brought Ryan Quigley to the podium with him. So Ryan is one of the survivors of the New Orleans terrorist attack on New Year's Eve, and he's a diehard Eagles fan. And it was a cool moment that Saquon didn't take up a lot of time, but he felt it was important to bring Ryan with him to the stage so Saquon and Ryan could speak to the crowd at the bottom of the Philadelphia Art Museum steps.
Thank you so much for the love and support that you guys showed to me and my family, especially being newcomers here. I want to thank Mr. Lurie. I want to thank Howie, the whole Eagles organization, my teammates. I want to thank you guys especially for us being world champs. One thing that I've learned from being here for a short period of time is that you guys are tough, you guys are resilient, and you guys know how to fight. And no one I know better epitomizes that more than my boy Ryan. Yeah.
Hey, Philly, this city overcomes everything. Say it with me. E-A-G-L-E-S, Eagles!
Such a cool moment. Again, I don't know if audio tells the whole story, but it's the vibe of Saquon's up there with this guy who is a survivor, and they talk about how Philadelphia fights, Philadelphia survives, Philadelphia endures. For a guy who did not grow up an Eagles fan, for a guy who never himself identified with the city of Philadelphia before coming here, Saquon Barkley has become a part of the fabric of the Philadelphia sports fan base. And he showed these last several days that if anyone deserves your love and appreciation as a Philadelphia sports athlete, it is Saquon Barkley. He didn't need the attention. He was just being a part of the celebration. I think that was a cool moment as well. Then you have the other end of the spectrum, right? So we went from the guy who's misunderstood to the guy who has endured everything to the man who is new in town but has been embraced for his immense talent and success and being the final piece to a championship team. Now we go to a man who, frankly, may, after this speech, be the heir apparent to Jason Kelce in terms of being a cult figure in the city. Landon Dickerson, the all-pro left guard. And remember, this is a Landon Dickerson that has been injured off and on the entire year. He has endured, he has survived, he has done so much for this organization and this team. And listening to him talk about what it was like to first come to Philadelphia and the Philadelphia sports fan and where the team and him are now in the organization, I thought was very special. Take a listen.
How we doing today, Philly? I need y'all to get loud right now. Give a round of applause to Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, and Nick Sirianni. Without them, this team wouldn't have been possible. And without you guys, every fan here, every fan in Delco, Montgomery County, Chester County, across PA, Jersey, and across this country, this wouldn't have been possible. I'll tell you right now, when I got drafted here, everybody said it was impossible to play in Philly. I found out all y'all want is for us to give everything we can for this city, and y'all give it right back. I can't tell you how much we appreciate you guys. Every game, every Sunday, Monday, Thursday, it doesn't matter. I don't think I played a away game my entire career. I can't tell you how grateful I am for all my teammates out here. We've been through so much all this whole year. And these guys, they've done everything for everybody, man. It wasn't about just an individual. It was the whole team. We've gone through some but it don't matter. We brought home that Lombardi, baby. I can't tell you how much it means to me, and it means to every guy on this team, the city and everything, the support. I've never seen anything like it. And I can tell you right now, there's not another fan base in this country that can match what we do here. I don't even got words to describe how happy I am right now. After 22, feeling that loss, I didn't ever want to feel that again. It's a terrible feeling. But you know what? We don't got to feel it today, baby. Hey, I just got one last thing to say. Go Birds!
So much there from Landon Dickerson because, one, I love the fact that he talks about the fans. It's something that unless you are from the Philadelphia area or you have lived it or you have experienced it, you don't understand that Eagle fans, they live and die with this team. They feel the full range of emotions on every game day. And I can't say that all 31 other NFL teams have the same environment. I love when he said that I've never played a road game. And it's true because even in the biggest game of the year, in New Orleans, what is supposed to be a neutral site, you heard the Bird fans in the Superdome in New Orleans for Super Bowl 59. They were there. They were loud. They were proud. And I think it goes to show you that between Dickerson, Saquon, and also C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the message is getting out there, folks. You want to be in Philadelphia, and you want to be a Philadelphia Eagle if you want to win. My last speech for you I want to share. C.D. Chauncey, otherwise known as C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Remember, he was here for a year, he left, and he came back. Take a listen.
Respectfully, all I got to say is 3 letters. I want y'all to say it with me. BTA, 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 BTA. Now, respectfully, when I came to Philly, I was lost as a excuse my language. Shout out to guys, shout out to Jeffrey, Howie, shout out to Big Dom, shout out to Slay, Big Bro, and shout out all the guys that actually believed in me and this organization, from all the coaches. When I left, I cried my ass off. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all, because I miss y'all like a And now that I'm back, y'all thought I was crazy week before when I said we're gonna be back in New Orleans winning a Super Bowl, almost a national championship. I'm blessed to be here. I love this city of Philly. I love the fans. We did this for y'all. Hey, one more time. BTA, BTA, BTA.
And for the uninitiated, BTA stands for belt to the more derogatory version of butt. I try not to use foul language here on 97.3 ESPN. I do try not to do that. I try to keep it above board and professional. We'll wrap up the Power Hour next here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you, celebrating the Philadelphia Eagles winning Super Bowl 59.
College Basketball Saturday on ESPN Radio. It's an SEC showdown in College Station.
At the right angle, whips it left, step back, left wing three, high archer, good!
The Arkansas Razorbacks go head-to-head with 8th-ranked Texas A&M.
Two to play, streaks down the lane, floats it up, and the layup is good at the buzzer!
Arkansas at number 8, Texas A&M.
The college basketball season continues tomorrow afternoon on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at noon.
You don't need a President's or Valentine's sale. Get to Matt Blatt Kia and save every day. With over 1,100 new Kias in stock or en route, all with zero down, zero payments until May. Even low 1.9% financing for 60 months on 25 Kia Sorento and Sportage SUV. So bring any trade, even if you're buried in a loan or lease. Matt Blatt Kia wants to get you released and into your new Matt Blatt Kia, like the all-new 25 K4. Just $129 per month lease with zero security deposit and only $36.95 due. Matt Blatt Kia, your PA and New Jersey Kia superstores in Abington, Egg Harbor Township, and Toms River, or right to your front door.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
With approved credit, $13.89 per thousand finance. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes through KMF. Rebates and incentives to deal. Expires 3/4/25. Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
A new president is sworn in. America's greatness is being restored. And there's breaking news every minute. Now, tens of millions of Americans are turning off Fox and CNN and tuning in to Newsmax for the breaking information they really need to know. Reuters Institute says Newsmax is one of the top news brands in America. Find it yourself on all major cable systems and on your TV or smartphone store. Just download the Newsmax app for free and start watching. You'll get great shows with Rob Schmidt, Greta Van Susteren, Rob Finnerty, and Carl Higbee, and more. Find out why millions of Americans have made the switch. Even President Trump says Newsmax is terrific, and he's watching. So make the switch to Newsmax. Check us out on cable and satellite TV or download the Newsmax app today. Watch us anytime, anywhere. Remember, Newsmax is real news for real people.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
As of 9 a.m. this morning, our EV trucking company is officially in operation.
Andrew's zero-emission trucks are driving the transportation category forward.
We'll make driving safer, easier, and less stressful. Now our technology needs to keep up with demand.
He needs to put pedal to the metal on hiring more software engineers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Why pay more for prescriptions? Stop overpaying and start saving with SingleCare. It's easy. Find your prescription on singlecare.com, show the coupon at the pharmacy, and start saving. SingleCare works at pharmacies nationwide and is completely free to use, whether you have insurance or not. So the next time you fill a prescription, check SingleCare to make sure you're getting the best price. Take control of your prescription costs. Go to singlecare.com or download the free app today.
Progressive presents Renters MVP's Most Valuable Possessions. Today's MVP, Emily Neal's 70-inch TV. Because after watching her second-grade students yell at each other for hours, there's nothing Emily enjoys more than watching super-rich housewives also yell at each other. Why? Because those women are not her responsibility. And that's why her TV is today's MVP. Keep your most valuable possessions protected by bundling your renters and auto insurance with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states.
Go to get your game on at the Gallery Bar Book and Games at Ocean Casino Resort. Cheers your favorite drinks while cheering on your favorite team. Get in on the parlay while in the middle of a party. Go for the sports scene and go for the endless screens. Go to the Gallery. Go to the Fanatic Sportsbook. Go for the win at Ocean Casino Resort. For more information, visit theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older to wager or consume alcohol. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennick on 97.3 ESPN and on the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app, powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Before we get out of here, I just want to remind folks about a couple things. I will be in Sea Isle City tomorrow for the Mike's Seafood Annual Run Walk for Autism event. 97.3 will be down there to support this great event every year. And I want to just encourage everybody to go visit Seattle, not just because they're raising money for autism research and support, not just for autism, but for all people with all kinds of special needs. The foundation helps. There's Mike's Seafood Run Walk for Autism. But also, you're supporting a local community. Mike's Seafood is a family-owned business in Sea Isle, and there's going to be a lot of businesses open in Sea Isle this weekend that are not corporations, they're not big businesses, they're just small, family-owned businesses. So I always am a big believer in supporting local small businesses. So please, if you got time this weekend, go support your local community down in Sea Isle. Thanks everybody for tuning in today. Eagles are Super Bowl 59 champs. Have a great night, everybody.
Saturday morning in the locker with Billy Schwein, producer Nick Earnshaw, and former Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver Dave Clemick joined me in the studio. Nick Earnshaw attended the Eagles parade and we'll get his thoughts. We will recap Super Bowl 59 and talk with former Eagles quarterback Hoy Detmer, who celebrated the Eagles' victory by climbing a traffic pole. Mr. Negadelphia PJ Quarter checks in, brought to you by the Galloway Pool Service. Phillies, Sixers, Flyers talk and more. It's the locker with Billy Schwein, Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN.